Hey everyone, today we're going to take a little ride up this dirt road which is closed. This right here, this road goes to the Cog Railway, and every single year recently this road is closed for a long time. Usually this road opens up for the camping season in the middle of May at some point once mud season's over. I've been camping on it many times. There's dozens of campsites free. First come, first serve. You're allowed 14 days. You can move to the next site and stay another 14 days if you want. In the middle of summer, it's impossible to find a camping spot here, but this time of year, it's nice. You can walk up here, and you're allowed to camp anywhere in the National Forest, White Mountains, if you're a quarter mile off a trail or a road. So what happens with this road is there's a lot of rivers, creeks, undersized culverts, and it's a dirt road. So in recent years, we've been getting more rain than normal in the spring, more snow melt because of higher temperatures that suddenly happen. And this road here, 2 years ago, it didn't open until the middle of July. Last year, it didn't open until sometime in June. And this year, the rain was even worse. I found blockages bigger than anything I've ever seen in locations I've visited for years. So I think there's a lot of damage up this road. It should be opening in a few weeks, but I almost guarantee it's not. As soon as mud season's done, the road's very soft, I can see there. Hopefully I can ride a bicycle up there. This is a 9-mile road, so I'm not going to be obviously riding the entire thing today, I don't think. I used to ride like 50 to 80 miles a day before I had my first car, but my legs aren't up to what I used to do as a teenager. And this is a very steep road, the second highest elevation road in New Hampshire, with the first being right, not down the road, but around the mountain. You gotta go, and yeah, the Mount Washington Auto Road's the highest. So I want to ride a bicycle down this road a little bit, try to look at some major washouts that there probably are. Alright, can't zoom in with the dual camera mode, but this one here, not maintained for winter travel. That means if you find this gate open, it's at your own risk if you want to go down it. This is a brand new sign that just appeared now. Narrow winding road, next 9 miles. And right here you have a sign. The Cog Railway is right up there, very close to us. Still got snow up on the mountain. Across the road, got another sign here. Yep, I gotta get the bicycle off my car. My bicycle had flat tires this morning, blowing them up. There's a lot of dry rot, so I'm gonna maybe have to replace that pretty soon. Here's some pipelines from back in the day. This used to go up this road actually to a higher point where there used to be a little dam to pressurize this pipeline. Used to use it for ski guns and stuff at the slopes. And here I can tell this used to be some sort of road. Maybe just a logging road, who knows? Snowmobilers are all over this place. That is a snowmobile trail, this road, in the winter months. And right down here, got the snowmobile bridge, looking nice. I love this time of year. There's not many people in the White Mountains when I come to visit because the White Mountains is a very tourist area. So the end of June, when the kids get out of school, until the end of August is major tourist season. Then there's a break for a little bit. Then in October, you got lots of traffic from people coming to take pictures of the trees turning colors, the leaf peepers. Then you got another break once we get a lot of snow. There's going to be lots and lots of ski tourists around here, lots of ski slopes. Same thing. Well, not as big of a problem in Maine. I think New Hampshire probably has more ski slopes, or at least more major ones. Then once spring thaw hits, it's dead until June. That's the biggest dead area without tourists. No one wants to come up here for the muddy spring thaw, but I do. That's my most fun time here. That's when all the blockages occur. All right, just locked my car up. This is an older bicycle. It's got mountain tires on it, but it doesn't have shocks or anything. That's okay. We're not doing anything crazy. Brought a drink, brought a nutrition shake. It's like a meal replacement. Got this thing at a tag sale for 20 bucks. It's got some issues though. It won't go into a certain gear and the tires need to be replaced at some point. But we're gonna go up this road now. Haven't ridden a bike in quite a while. Used to ride all the time, like I said. But every time I've tried to ride a bike in recent years, it's made my knees really hurt. After a knee surgery a couple years ago, hopefully I can get back into things. Yeah, look at this. Look, all the ruts. This is why it's not open. People will just make the road worse, but I'm assuming there's gonna be washouts up this road. Oh, look, there's that sign there. That's what I was just saying. No camping within 1/4 mile of the road, or 1/4 mile of the road. And here's a little teeny sinkhole with a culvert underneath it. Could be culvert failure. There's that pipeline again. I think we might see some cool stuff up here today. We will see. This morning's also the first time I think my check engine light's ever turned on. I'll have to figure out what that is soon. But I brought my old car, which has 361,000 miles on it, so I think it's overdue that it'll have a problem like that. You see these tracks right here on the road? I think that was the groomer for the ski trail, not an excavator. I don't think they would dare bring an excavator up here yet, because it would probably sink too deep. Got an uprooted tree right there, but that's been uprooted a while. The tiny little trees on that ball of roots are standing straight. Ooh, this is kind of cool. Look at this. See this little dip in the road with cracks around it? A rock tried to come up there. Frost will push rocks up through the road. And then when the frost melts, they sink back down, oftentimes with the sediment removed, makes potholes. Or sometimes the rock just doesn't come back down. There's more of that pipeline coming up. Road looks good so far. Just wait until we get to the bridges. We're already next to the little creek. Oh wow, there's still snow up here. I wonder what we'll see. This is a very high elevation road. Might see a lot of snow actually, if we get up it a bit. And the good thing about this road is, it's gonna be a struggle. I haven't been on a bike in a while, but once I get to the top of this mountain, it's nothing but downhill the way back. Here's another rock. Came up, settled back down. Here's another one right here, this dip. Look how beautiful and clean this water is. Such a beautiful swimming hole. Lots of beautiful moss. Look at this waterfall. Never seen that before. You appreciate these places a lot more when you're on foot or bicycle rather than just driving quickly by. You miss all this cool stuff. That water's so deep down there. All right, we're at the first bridge. Look at all this debris. Water got high to do that. Same over here. See all the debris that got way up out of the river? But it doesn't look like it came onto the road this year. This is pretty. I guess maybe they did do some repairs. This looks very fresh. New, very undersized culvert. But this whole section of road, I could tell, got taken out. Just repaired. They used the excavator on this aluminum culvert. Should have done that one by hand. Alright everyone, we just got to another bridge. Don't see too much erosion here. It looks like the road crew's already patched any damage that would have been. But now the river's gonna start getting even closer to the road, so maybe we'll see more erosion evidence coming up soon. Beautiful creeks. This road, just about every campsite has access to a little creek. Both sides of the road. There's creeks following both sides of it, which is awesome. Most of the roads that are maintained by the National Forest Service. They'll clean up all the branches and debris. But this road, I think they purposely just drag everything off to the sides since they know someone's gonna go ahead and collect it for firewood, since there's so many little campsites. Most of the campsites are down the back side of the mountain. I guess that would be the east side of the mountain. Right now we're walking up it on the west side. Not as many campsites here. The better campsites are on the other side anyways. Kind of surprised not to see erosion damage right here. We're so close to the river. Got a little bit of erosion here. Pretty soft. See, there's still some snow up here on the road. That means the road is certainly frozen and still thawing, which means lots of mud here. This used to be a campsite, but they closed it for some reason. This is basically what most of the campsites are. Enough space to back a vehicle in, set up a tent, have a little fire pit. They all got the river behind them. Some of them are big enough you could fit a bus there if you had a really big camper. But those are all on the other side. There's one of them that actually has like a giant field. Well, there'll be multiple campers set up at one of them in the area. There's also another road like this for camping called Cherry Mountain Road. Those campsites are a lot better, but I've never got the chance to camp at one. There's only like a dozen sites on that road. Very nice, beautiful sites. Huge. You could bring, I think they allow 14 people or something like that at each site, and lots of space. Sites you can set up an entire big camper. Some of the sites have parking spaces by the road, and you actually have to walk, so there's a lot of privacy. Each one of those sites is literally quarter to half a mile apart. You'll never get bothered by the neighbors camping next to you. Very nice road, but it's always going to be jam-packed with people because it's free. The amazing thing is, during tourist season, in New Hampshire anyways, you can't get any spots to camp. They fill up so fast. You drive out into the wilderness of Maine during tourist season, there's a lot of campsites available. A lot of people just aren't willing to drive 4 hours down a dirt road and bring extra gas. So if you really want to be out in the wilderness and not be bothered by a single person, do that. You won't have a single car go by on some of those rural logging roads. As I go up the road, I keep taking turns from just walking and riding the bike. There's more and more patches of snow as we go up in elevation. The road is getting muddier. I'm getting sweatier. The stream is getting smaller. Yeah, at this point, the road's getting really soft. I can feel it in my feet. Might even get stuck if you tried to drive up here. So they did do some repairs at some point. Not quite sure when. It's possible the road was frozen during these major thaws during the winter, so it didn't sustain damage. It's possible this damage happened in late fall when they were able to fix it, because there's snow on top of the repairs. So that's very possible. The track marks you're seeing, just looking at those, I'm pretty sure those are from a groomer, which usually has rubber tracks. Sometimes they're metal, but I don't know. The tracks just end into the repair, so what do you guys think? This section of road here, you can tell was patched at some point. Yep, all because of this culvert. So, well, what do we think? Is the culvert undersized, or it just became clogged, washing all this out? Probably both. Look at all the evidence of water rushing over the top of this. Absolutely stupidly undersized. 12-inch culvert? Really? And they wonder why it washes out every year. A little bit up the road, we got a 3-foot culvert. Absolutely no evidence it spilled over. This culvert's big enough that if sticks got in front of it, the pressure would likely break them in half. And it would not really be a problem. Okay, there's another culvert right here, which has been doing some erosion. See here in the woods? That might be part of the road, or it might just be the upstream. The road is still very soft. A few spots, gonna have to be careful on the way down not to get knocked off the bike. They're that soft. But this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna walk all the way to the top, the highest point of this road, and that's gonna be like 3, maybe 4 miles straight of, oh yeah, it's eroding the riverbed a bit. 3 or 4 miles straight of downhill, no pedaling, non-stop. There's not even really any flat spots. It's all downhill. It's gonna be a fun ride. Yep, this is another big pipe. No evidence of it spilling over. Nope. Beautiful mossy creek. Nice. All right, I'm very sweaty. Gonna take a little break from walking. Been walking for a little over a half hour. So here's another campsite. You can set up a little fire here. Usually you'd park your car right here, block the road, privacy, flat spot to set up a tent. All these campsites have nice river access. I can tell the river was up inside here during the spring thaw. Beautiful campsites. You see, these campsites, they're all very small. They're only meant for a few people to camp at them. Only parking for one vehicle, maybe a little camper van. There are bigger sites down the road, like I said. Don't know if we'll get that far. I don't plan on walking down the other side at all. Only a few campsites on this side of the mountain. The majority are on the back side, but like I said, Cherry Mountain Road, not too far away from here. I think it'd be half hour, maybe not even. That road has big sites. You're allowed to park multiple cars, have over a dozen people, and they're free. Right here, this section of road was also repaired. So this might be where that culvert down there, yep, exactly where that culvert got all its gravel from. So the creek is still back there, and this is where the gravel's been eroding from. See this? And every time it rains, it's gonna eat away at the edge of this road. They gotta fix this. They gotta put a bunch of riprap rock here to stop this hill from eroding. The next big rainstorm, this little ditch is gonna start eroding this. And this is not good. The road is just so narrow here. Someone's gonna have to back up a bit. If 2 vehicles came, not good. All right, there's only one reason by this evidence this amount of water would be going down here when there's a culvert right there. It's gonna be another undersized one. Always stay away from the melting snow. That means the ground is frozen underneath it still, and you could sink pretty bad. Yep, lots of evidence of the water jumping over this pipe because it's undersized. See, the leaves, this leaf cover would be going all the way down here, but nope, water was up here spilling. I can see right here where it was. Yep. How big's this pipe? A foot, maybe 18 inches if we're lucky. Yeah, 18 inches. We got a little lucky, but probably should put a 3-footer in. Oh, that's really beautiful, this little waterfall. Right here, see where the leaves are missing again? Lots of water coming down this ditch. That's really pretty. Look at that little pinch point. Nice. Well, this looks like it used to be a campsite. A lot of them are like this. Park a vehicle, there's a little blockade. Then down there, there's flat spots for a tent. But this one's been closed a while. Look at the sign up here. That's a pretty old sign. This site's been closed for a while, and it talks about human waste destroying the environment and water quality. Well, people got to learn to bury it in a hole, I guess, so it can filter through the ground a bit better. But there's a campsite literally open right there. I noticed they seem to rotate which ones are open and closed here and there. My recommendation is go camping on these roads as soon as they open. The weather's nice and cool. You're not sweating your butt off all year, like in the summer. I like camping the best in May and June. It's still kind of cool. And you know what happens if you go camping after tourist season, say September, October? The weather's nice again, but you're gonna find a lot of toilet paper and unburied poops at these sites. Our road is gonna get super steep again. All right, I think I might come up to another bridge pretty soon, and I'll take another break there. The top of the mountain, there's a parking lot for a hiking trail that brings you all the way to the top of the mountain, which the road doesn't go. Got a lot of snow in this little area. I think in the summertime, we still gotta wait a few more months. The snow's so deep up on the mountains right now. During the spring thaw, it's kind of dangerous to go hiking, especially alone, because you can fall through cavities of hollow snow and stuff. So we're gonna wait a little bit. Kind of want to do Mount Washington again this year. I like hiking that every few years, just because it's the biggest mountain. Hopefully there's not a lot of wildfire smoke this year, so we'll get a good view. I drove up it last year. A lot of people liked that video, did well. And maybe I can get my grandfather to come along. He works for the National Forest Service. Maybe he could add some knowledge and history to that video. See if he'll go hiking with me. He still does it almost every year, the big mountain. And he's almost in his late 80s now. He's in the best shape of anyone I know, even for that age. He's even the best driver I know, even at that age. Very good driver. Still drives back and forth to Florida every single year, like 3 times. And I know he had his tractor trailer license up until he was 80. Then that was it. He used to drive oranges in Florida back and forth from the fields to where they get juiced. We'll try to get him in a video later this year. It's becoming more snow covered. Gonna have to watch out going down this road on a bike. All the nice camping spots, they're closing them all. No overnight camping. New sign. See a nice little spot, enough for a car, a tent, 1 camper van, right next to the river. The river sounds pretty loud there. Maybe there's a little waterfall. Let's go take a little peek at that. I bet the bike's gonna fall over. Let's go take a look. A lot of snow, a lot of moss. Looks like the sunshine probably doesn't come here often. Beautiful place for a hot weather. Swimming hole right there. Beautiful campsite. Nice and cool, but just bring the bug spray. Bet this would be a lot of mosquitoes here. Too bad they're closing all these little campsites. But there's still a lot of them. That sign down there talks about human waste, but by the lichen and stuff growing on it, that sign is probably at least half a decade old. And people were camping on this thing in large numbers the following year. Even at these ones with no camping signs, people would still be there overnight. Just no fires. Road is getting soft. Look at my feet sinking. Might have a wipeout going down this on the bike. But I think it'll be fun though. At this point in the mountain, there's just about a full blanket of snow. Now that the woods are a bit darker this far up. Yeah, I'm gonna fall down a few times, I think, on the way down. Here's another little area. That one doesn't say no camping. Right here you can even still see some of the lines from the groomer smoothing it out for the snowmobilers. This thing I'm walking on now is not even snow, it's just a sheet of ice. Face is turning red. sweating a lot. Look up there. Here's a bridge. It's the last bridge we'll come across on the east side of the mountain. So that means we'll be at the very top pretty soon. Pretty good starter hike for the year, huh? This spot doesn't have a no camping sign. Look at this big hunk of snow protected by that branch. It's kind of cool. Prevented it from melting. You can see the debris there. The river was higher. Now it's a very windy, steep section till we get to the top. We'll probably be at the top in like 10 minutes. Look what I just found. How ridiculous is that? I'm gonna have to go down there and put my hand up to that to show you. I've never even seen a corrugated pipe this small. Super thick. It's old. The old ones last longer than the new ones. Really. 6-inch culvert being used on a roadway. I could understand maybe someone's driveway, but on a road that's maintained by the government? Really? And that was put in a long time ago. They haven't made culverts like that in a while. And exactly what I thought. That's buried. That thing's lost forever. Why is it even installed here? It's picking up like 20 feet of water. I can't even understand why that culvert was put here in the first place. There's probably one down in that dip, but it's ridiculously small. Sure glad I decided to bring the bike, because I think I'll be coming down this with enough speed that I'll just shoot back up this hill and keep on going down. Because this is the only downhill section on the way up. Yeah, look at this damage. Look at this. This culvert could not handle the flow, so it went over the top and eroded a little bit. The erosion was probably kept to a minimum because the road was frozen. How small is it? There's really not much debris on these pipes. I'm amazed by that. I think the park rangers already came up here and did maintenance this year. This is New Hampshire. They're known for very good maintenance. Even if some of their infrastructure is undersized, not the best, their maintenance is the best of any state I've ever seen. So just keep that in mind. There's only one exception I've ever seen, and that's the road that the Thirsty Tree culvert is on. Most neglect I've ever seen. They don't even maintain that road. Clogs will be there for years. They got quite a mess right here. That you're using landscape fabric in the ditch. That's kind of dumb. Look at the trees turning red. About to be a lot of buds opening up soon. This time of year, you find piles of bright red moose poop. They love the maple tree buds. Yep. There was a lot of erosion here, but it looks partially fixed. Yeah. They did a lot of trimming. This road looks completely different. There's grouse birds. I could hear one of them pounding its leaves on the ground, or pounding its wings on the ground. They do that. It makes a loud thumping sound. It sounds like something's running towards you the way they do it, because they go boom, 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 faster and faster. It scared me the first time I ever heard that. Here's a little campsite. Looks like it started as a little gravel pit, but no sign saying you can't. And there's always a camper there in the summertime. And here we have a lot of sinkage on the road. Sinkhole opening up there. Lots of erosion here. Yeah. Look at all this erosion. It's because the next culvert pipe here couldn't handle it. So we went up and over it. Just by the riverbed leading up to the pipe. Yeah, that's not going to fit through the pipe that I think is there. More landscape fabric. It's just making a giant mess. I don't see the benefit of landscape fabric. Just like the people that put it under their gravel driveway. Just makes a bigger mess when you have to fix it someday. Yeah, look right here. Lots of damage. This is from water rushing down the road. Yeah. Landscape fabric just made a mess. Is that made of rubber? Or is that just a bunch of future microplastic they put in here? Alright, we're basically at the top. The road's flattening out. Trees are much shorter up here on the mountain. Look in the woods. All the debris from the trees shedding is actually protecting the snow from melting. There's still very deep snowpack where the sun's unable to touch. Alright, I'm gonna ride a little bit. Oh, do I see a sign right there? I think I'm actually already up here to the top of the mountain. The road's a bit soft. Yep. I'm gonna just hang out up here a little bit before I go back down. I'm a bit sweaty. Yep, we're at the top. I'll put my helmet back on for the ride down. But, yep, we're at the top of the mountain now. If I keep going, now we've just begun going downhill. If you can see through the woods here, that's a parking lot that'll fill up with cars in the summer to hike. This road gets you almost to the top of the mountain, so the rest of the hike's not that bad. Elevation 3,009 feet. This is the highest elevation reached by a public highway in New Hampshire. Yep. Highest elevation point you can drive for free. Then you gotta pay money to go up the Mount Washington Road. But this is nothing compared to the roads I went on up west a few years ago. 12,000 feet, one of the roads I drove up. And amazingly, out there was little trees and grass up there. Around here, no trees grow above 4,000 feet. Just a little bit of grass. Lots of frost heaving going on in the parking lot of the hiking trail. All right, let's go get back on the road. Look at the culvert right here. And now that I'm actually on the bike, I gotta be careful. This mud is grabbing my wheel in a few spots. I got a water crossing. This culvert doesn't even work at the moment. There's a few tire tracks coming up from this side. Wonder what the condition of that road is like, but I'm not gonna go any further. It took me 2 hours to walk up this because wheels, I don't know if you can see the back wheel, they're sinking pretty deep. It's just too hard to pedal through the mud up here, but I think I'll be able to take it almost all the way back down. Might just have to walk over those icy spots. Well, we're about to get to the downhill part. Got a nice breeze, no more sweatiness. Just sat up here and had a little 10-minute break. Took 2 hours to get up here. I think I could potentially get back down in a half hour since I'm not gonna walk it. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start going downhill now. I'm actually going downhill right now, but I'm still heavily pedaling because I'm sinking so deep. All right, now I'm finally not pedaling, but I'm going very slow, bogging down in the muck. All right, here we go. Gaining a little bit of speed. And the mud is bringing me to a complete stop, even though it's still downhill. Still beats walking. Just wonder how bad it's gonna be when I get up to those spots with real bad mud and snow. Now we're starting to get very, very steep. So far, not so bad. I picked up a lot of speed there now that these sections of road are actually frozen. As long as I have both hands, I'm able to keep it very stable through the snow and ice. On camera, not so much. I'm not going to go through this with some speed. This is actually the first time in my life I've ever rode down a mountain road. You don't have to pedal. That's actually so much fun, hiking up with a bike and taking it back down. So on the icy patches, I had no problem going over them. Didn't crash at all. And I don't think there's much ice left. I think I went over most of that. So what I was doing is, anytime the bike felt like it was going to fall over, I just put my feet out like this, like training wheels, and let it act as skis. And it stopped me from tipping over. Worked. Kept a good speed over all the ice. This road would be awesome to fly down when there's no mud at all. Wow, I'm back to the car, and it took only 20 minutes to get back down that hill. It's about 4 miles, and it took 2 hours to get up it walking. Cool. Now, I might do some more. I might drive to the other side where the other gate is, which is probably a half-hour drive. Maybe we'll try walking up the other side. I didn't want to do it all in one go in case I get tired. I can just take the bike back down the hill. Just like this side. If I only went halfway up and got too tired, I could have just went all the way back down on the bike. But I was able to get to some really good speeds because the bottom of the road is not muddy. So that was pretty good. Let's see what we can go see on the other side. Got a little chilly on my hands going down. All that cold wind. Let's go. Alright everyone, on the other side of the mountain road, about a half an hour later, we're about to come up to the other side of the gate. Now we're in a small residential neighborhood where that road would have come out if I went down the other side instead. We'll see if we can walk this a little ways. Don't know if I'll walk back up to the top or not. Don't know if we have enough daylight, but we'll see what we can find on this end. So, with the check engine light on now, for some reason, I'm no longer able to use four-wheel drive. That's one thing I like about my truck instead. It has a manual four-wheel drive shifter, so it can't just get stuck. It doesn't have that stupid on-off button for the four-wheel drive. But one thing I'm really surprised about, this car, I've brought it on logging roads its entire life. Its only weakness was bottoming out. Never broke a tie rod end. I have hit and slammed into so many things, bottomed out so many times. Never once broke a tie rod end. Never broke really anything except one of the shocks. The shock didn't even break. The bolts holding it broke off. But the new truck keeps busting tie rod ends for some reason. Never happened with the small car, but the actual TRD truck keeps breaking them. Don't know why. I don't even think I drive it that hard. I drive this thing very hard. It seems to handle dirt roads better. Don't know why. Let's see where we can park. Looks like a few parking spaces. Looks like we have some hunters coming up here. Let's see what we can do. Gotta be careful where I drive. Like I said, the four-wheel drive is not working today. Someone's got a little sawmill here. Hoping I don't bother anyone by parking these in this little parking space. Okay, it's not that soft. I don't think I'm gonna get stuck. It's kind of cool. That guy over there has a school bus motorhome. Let's lift the bike up. Whoa, this big rock is moving. Ooh. Let's take a ride up here. Feels like I have more energy now. Second time riding the bike this year now. This side of the road is much more gradual until the very top. No highway vehicles allowed. Not yet. Wonder if we'll find any washouts on this side. There'll probably erosion up towards the steep part if we get that far. Otherwise, it'll probably be down here. Usually occurs. There's a section of this road that's actually paved just to prevent it from washing out. There's like 3 or 4 bridges in a very small stretch of road. Definitely feels like I got more energy now. A couple ups and downs. Pretty big pipe on this side. Adequate enough, no erosion evidence going across, but I think they're gonna need to replace this one soon. So mountain roads, rocks and pebbles go through it. Wears off the galvanization on the bottom, so starts rusting out. Look at that. Look at the holes in this pipe. Needs to be replaced soon. Still doing its job though right now. Doing well. Let's get back on the bike. Just talked to some nice people with a dog. Must live around here. So they haven't been up here to the top yet this year. Told them I went up there a few hours ago. Still some snow at the top. They've only been as far as the bridges so far. Anyways, gonna keep going and looking at stuff. But what you saw back there, that culvert is probably, and that's the older ones that are thicker metal. 30, maybe 40 years old until that kind of damage starts. But now you got the Parks Department putting plastic ones in, which the frost heaves will crush in a couple of years. They only get a 70-year lifespan in perfect conditions. Never out here. Here's a culvert, I think. It had some issues last year. There was a few little sinkholes here last year. Yeah, they patched them. Elevated water a little bit. Is there no, nothing blocking it. But keep on riding. I feel my legs getting stronger already. What does this sign say? Campground limit. There's a sign. 14 days. This is one of the bigger campsites. Can bring a few cars. Bigger campsites on this side. Much better ones. If you need to start a campfire in the woods, you might not find birch bark easily at these campsites since so many people go to them. But I see personally pieces all over the ground that naturally shed off. Pieces peeling off a tree, you can just cut little pieces. But then you got a low-class individual comes up here, does this. Completely girdles the tree of its bark. That tree's still alive, not a dead one. If it was a dead one, it wouldn't really matter. But now that tree is going to have a slow, painful death over the next few years. 100 feet up the road. Got a big blowdown. Tons of good firewood here. Someone's going to have some massive campfires this year. Cleaning up all the woods. A lot of these campsites you can't find good wood. Because other campers burn it all before you get there. But there's a lot of stuff that fell over this year. When you live in a place that has a water table that comes way up in the winter, and then it freezes, it'll pull things out of the ground. So if you don't have a high water table, you can get away with putting fence posts, shallow plumbing and stuff. The ground doesn't really expand much because the ground's not water soaked. But when it is water soaked like this situation right here, this area can freeze down 4 feet into the ground and the frost pushes everything up. This culvert now only got a few inches of dirt on it, and it's like sand, not structural dirt of any type. It's already being destroyed. And it was installed last year. Look at that. Amazing. They got 8 months out of this piece of plastic pipe. And I think there's a coupling in the middle because, nope, I thought it was coming back out metal. Nope, they just didn't take off some of the factory wrap. Now it's a piece of junk. 8 months. Time to come out. Those metal ones. 40 years. What sense does that make? Oh, wow. The National Forest Service still hasn't learned, year after year, of replacing the same pipes. This one's obviously been lifted out of the ground by frost heaving. Look at that. It's actually higher than the road surface. If you look at that hump. Destroyed. Crushed in a couple of spots. You would think they would learn after replacing it the first couple of times. Plastic ones are only slightly cheaper than a metal one. In an environment like this where they have high, or I should say shallow bedrock, can't dig them very deep unless you bring a jackhammer out, which gets pretty expensive. So they're gonna get crushed, whether it be a vehicle or literally the ground around it expanding as it freezes, crushing it. So after you place it 3 times, all that labor coming back out here, you would think they'd get smart and put a metal one back in. They don't. They're just blowing through the taxpayer money. Got like part of a Halloween decoration up there. Just went by another 2 plastic pipes. They're not damaged, but you can see where they're starting to get shoved out of the ground a little bit. There's just too many. I'm not going to show every single one of them. Rained a couple days ago, so that's a couple days old. I can tell by it being rained on. Moose tracks. There was a big old moose walking up this road. Look at that. It's just like a little chicken or a quail. They got the grouse birds. And this is the campsite I was saying. It's like a big field. Sometimes they'll have a bunch of campers in there that know each other. Sometimes it'll be a massive camper that you're wondering, how do they navigate this curvy road? Good driver. Or sometimes it's just a tiny one-man tent taking up this entire area. Camping limit 14 days. See, it's a very big space. Little fire pit, gigantic fire pit in the back there. Lots of space back there. Someone lost their glove. I can take the bike down. It's a little downhill area. I think the bridges are coming up. All right, here we got a 2-foot plastic culvert, except this one is actually installed correctly. You can see a little bit of movement. The frost is still trying to rip it up, but it's buried deep enough that I think it'll actually last a bit. Here's a nice creek. 2-foot pipe, 3-foot pipe. Concrete one there will probably last forever. Just put a cheap one next to it for more capacity. We came across a road here called Mount Mitten Trail. The gate on it, they close in the summer. Same with this one. It's already closed. These are all snowmobile trails. But you could hike them, hunt them, ride a bike down them. That kind of stuff in the summer. This hill here, I get on the bike for a couple minutes, then I'm out of breath. I remember I used to live in Massachusetts. I used to ride my bicycle over 50 miles a day on average. Used to go up all the steep hills in high gear. But now I feel so out of shape trying to ride a bike again. I can walk all day long without a problem. But haven't done biking in a bit. I don't think I'm gonna walk all the way up on this side. I just don't think there's gonna be any damage. I've already walked all the areas that damage typically happens at, the lower parts of each side. Might be drainage ditch issues when it gets a little steeper, but not really. Here's another campsite. You can park a few cars here. Big flat area behind it. Does that look like someone made a campfire there? Just imagine that, just sitting there around the fire, cooking something. Boom! That big boulder explodes because you're boiling the moisture inside it. It looks like they got that big rock to just split. Yeah, I see a birdhouse up there. This looks like a fun trail. On the map, this road goes pretty far. I am noticing, not since the last time it rained, because they must have shut the gate. See a lot of ATV tracks. The people that live around here must have brought ATVs up the mountain, because there's always a time the gate's still left open before they shut it. Like this road here, I remember I took a ride up here to New Hampshire when I first got my driver's license, and this road here I actually slid off it because I was an idiot. Got some front end damage, didn't do anything too bad, but a bunch of the plastic junk was all broken, including the windshield tank. Luckily the radiator wasn't damaged at all, so I was able to drive out of here. Also broke a headlight on it, and one of the doors was dented from sliding into a tree. But I was an idiot for driving up here. Then I suddenly realized that about 15 miles an hour, I couldn't stop. Maybe I should have not pressed the brake so hard. Well, wasn't very experienced driver back then. And on top of my stupidity, I don't know why the gates were open that day during a snowstorm. Wasn't deep enough for snowmobile season yet. I can tell years ago, see all the moss-covered rocks? It's an old ancient riverbed. Hasn't flowed in a while. It's kind of cool to see. It's following right alongside the other one, so maybe back in the day it used to rage really big. Maybe that's when the water would come down into this section. Yeah, because right here it meets up with it. They might have built a little wall here. That might be human activities that block the river from going in this channel. Might be to protect the road. This winter, New England had a few rainstorm events that were so strong that most rivers almost, or they did, hit their all-time records. But it must have happened when the ground was frozen, because there's no erosion here. And this is so close. It probably happened when there was a good snowpack. That's why there's no evidence of erosion. Not too bad. Right here looks like the river was slightly getting into the road, but I think the roads were frozen, and that really minimized it, because all those rain events we had over the winter, it was a quick rainstorm, got warm for like one day, all the snowpack started melting, making the rivers rage. But the raging water, I don't think it ever lasted more than 12 hours. Up in the mountains, the rivers, they rise fast, and then they recede very fast. Now we're coming up to some bridges, and I assume it's paved around the bridges so they don't have to clean up more damage. Now we'll hit a paved section. I'll show you across one of the bridges, and I think I'm going to turn around. But this was a good starter hike. I've now walked on foot probably at least 5 miles, maybe 6 miles. Yeah, probably 6 miles, maybe a little more. This entire road, if I get to the top of it again, that'll have mean I walked the entire thing, which is 9 miles. Because bike riding doesn't really count, since I'm just basically gliding down. Not too much pedaling on the way down. This side doesn't have any mud, and I think that's because this side is also not really much snow either. This side of the mountain gets more sun. That's why I assume this side, if anything, would have had more flood damage, since the sun would make it melt faster. So it looks like a wooden bridge that they paved over. How good is that? Anyone know in the comments? Will the pavement make it rot faster, or is that more like waterproofing? It is creosote covered, so like an old train bridge, it'll last forever, these things. So the river goes across underneath the road here, wraps around. You can see the next bridge wraps around again like a snake, goes back under it again. And there's also a campsite right up here. Actually, two of them up there that are right on the water, which is nice. Most of the campsites have a water feature. Now I think I'm gonna ride my way back down. Crystal clear water. It's always crystal clear in the mountains. It's just so pristine. There's no pollution out here, except that sign back there that said that humans going to the bathroom are causing water quality issues. This side of the mountain, there's more campsites. Maybe that's because I don't think the water going down this side actually gets used for anyone's drinking water. At least not for a while. That other side, I don't know if any of the nearby towns use it, but I know the Mount Washington Resort gets its water from the Ammonoosuc River, and I think, yeah, 100% that water going down the other side of the mountain, where I was showing all the swimming holes, how deep it was, how crystal clear it was. I believe that eventually goes to where they get their water. Or I could be wrong. Maybe they get it from a well. I'm just assuming that that place would get it from there. I know they have their own power plant and waste treatment plant. They don't use septic tanks at those giant resorts. They have their whole own power plant. They have their own sewage treatment center, all of that. That resort owns basically the whole town. There's usually more tourists there than actual residents. I think that little town has less than 100 actual permanent residents in it. Very small town. The tourists always outweigh it. All right, everyone, I am back to the car. Got back here really fast because I only went halfway up this side. Engine's still half hot. Wasn't gone too long this time. A little bit sweaty. All right, heading on out. I hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Ooh, I was about to say, what is that noise? It's my bicycle up on the roof. I don't have a bike rack, so I just put it up there with a ratchet strap.